How's it going, everybody? This is Darrin with GuitarControl.com bringing you this video lesson, and today I want to show you how to play Fall of the Peacemakers by Molly Hatchet. Right now, Guitar Control is giving away a free chord chart. It's a free download. There's a link down in the description. Every chord you could ever need, all neatly compiled into one PDF format. You can print it out, put it where you practice, put it in your gig bag. Any chord you could ever need at a glance. Free download. Click the link in the description. So be sure to click on the link in the description for the tabs, and let's get close up and take a look at this. Alright, so as far as like the chords and stuff go for this, it's all fairly simple, basic chords. But the tempo of this is like really fast. It's pretty difficult to play this at tempo, but even if you play it really slow, it still sounds really good. So is like what I always say, just get the parts down, especially if there's any parts that maybe there'd be particular transitions you're having issues with. Get those down and then just slowly work on getting the tempo up. Alright, so we're going to start off. We've got an A minor chord. So we've got these pickup notes that lead into it. So on the first measure, we rest on the first 3 beats plus the first 16th note of beat 4. So we have these pickup notes. So what I'm doing is I put my fingers down, for the A minor chord, and then use my second and third finger to do these pickup notes, but keep my first finger here on the first fret of the B string, so that way I'm ready. So E and so we're starting here on the third fret of the A string, and so this is the third 16th note of beat 4. So it'd be E, then we go to the second fret, and then to the third fret of the low E for And then the downbeat of the second measure is just the open A string, and it's a quarter note, so that buys you just a second of time to get your other 2 fingers back down for A minor. So we put our fingers down starting on beat 2. We have 8th notes. So we're starting the B string, B to the G is 2 and then the D string would be the downbeat of 3. Okay, now we're going to do an A suspended 2. So all we're going to do is just lift our first finger off and hit the B, G, and D string again. So that's the first 2 measures. And then starting on the third measure, we just put our first finger back down again, so it's A minor again. B, G, D, and then the open high E string. And we pick that on the and of 2, and it rings out for the downbeat of 3, and then on the and of 3, we're going to go back and do that same, starting on the A string on the 3rd fret, to the 2nd fret, to the 3rd fret of the low E, and then it just kind of starts over again. So. Just like that. So if we kind of think about this as it's like different little sections of riffs, it can kind of help you to memorize it. So after we do that, so that's in the 5th measure, the first 3 beats, and then starting on beat 4, we're going to play the open A string, 4, and on the and of 4 to the 2nd fret. So 4 and then to the 3rd fret for 1, and at this time we're going to be playing a C chord. So again, we just keep our first finger planted here on the 1st fret of the B string. So it's like the pickup notes we had before, but now it's instead B, G, A, and then we got a C add 9. So we're just going to take our pinky and we're going to put it onto the 3rd fret of the B string, to the G string, and then back to the A string. So that's 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. And so that's measure 6. And then for measure 7, we're going to keep that shape we got with the C add 9. And we're going to take our third finger, we're going to move it from the 3rd fret of the A string to the 3rd fret of the low E. And we're going to more or less do the same thing we did in the previous measure, just the only difference is that the first note, instead of being this C here on the 3rd fret of the A, it's this G on the 3rd fret of the low E. Same picking. And then, oh, so here, this is the part that's probably one of the trickier parts. So we hit this bass note, B, G, and then we have to move that finger back up to the C there, and that's coming on the downbeat of 3. So it's like 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. And then starting on the next measure, we're going to switch to an A minor. So again, our first finger doesn't have to move. We switch to A minor, and now we're going to pick A on the downbeat of 1, and then on the downbeat of 2, B string, and of 2, G string, downbeat of 3, the D string. And then we take our first finger off for and, for, and. So the B string becomes open. So it's more or less the same style, well, not really the same style, but the same like picking technique and pattern that we used when we were revolving around the A minor at the beginning, with the A minor with the A suspended 2. All right, so then starting there again on measure 7, so 3rd finger onto the 3rd fret, low E string, and our 4th finger is still here on the 3rd fret of the B string, and our 1st finger is still on the 1st fret of the B string. So remember, we go, and then we have to move that finger back down to the A minor, A suspended 2, now A minor again on measure 9, and then the open high E string. So when we come back and we hit that open high E, that's kind of the end of that phrase, and we start on to the next part. All right, so measure 9. Now on the and of 3, we got new pickup notes. So it's the low E string open, but again, I'm going to keep my first finger here on the 1st fret of the B string. So we have open to the 2nd fret to the 3rd fret, so that's and, 4, and then on the downbeat of measure 9, beat 1, quarter note is the open A string, and then we've got that same A minor, A suspended 2 riff again. And then just repeat, same pickup notes. Now we're going to go back and do like we did before, so the pickup notes are now the open A string, A to the 2nd fret, to the 3rd fret. Now we're doing the C add 9, and then that where we take our 3rd finger and move it to this G. Move that 3rd finger back to the C there, to the A minor, A suspend 2, C add 9, that G bass note, and then the A minor, A suspended 2 thing again. All right, so up to that point, it's like there's 3 separate little, riff ideas that you do. So you just want to memorize each one of those at a time, and then put it together. So now we are on measure 20, and this is our next big change. So we're coming off of that A minor, A suspended 2 thing, Now our pickup notes, the second fret of the D string, which your second finger is already on, to the first fret with your first finger, and then the string open. So, and then it's going to go back to the C add 9 riff. So starting on measure 19. To the C add 9, that G bass note, back to the C. Okay, now this is where the next big change is. So this last phrase was probably the shortest one. So there on measure 22, we hit the first fret of the B string there on the and of 3, and then on the downbeat of 4, it's the A string open, 4, the and of 4 is the second fret, and then to the open D string. Okay, so now we're going to go to a D voicing, but it's not like this D voicing. It's actually like a power chord. It's a D5. So this transition, we're switching, from the C, we're going to come up to that. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up and put our first finger onto the third fret of the B string, and we're going to put our third finger onto the 5th fret of the high E string. So now we're going to pick the open D string on beat 1 of measure 23, and then on the downbeat of 2 it's the high E, and of 2 is the B. Back to the D again on the downbeat of 3. So it's like 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. Then on the next measure, what we're going to do is we're just going to take our first finger and we're going to lay it down flat, so it's going across the 3rd fret of the high E and the B string. And same picking, E, B, open D string, and then now the little chord is going to change again, and now we're going to put our second finger onto the 3rd fret of the B string and our first finger on the 2nd fret of the high E string. And then that little chromatic 2, 1, open again. So let's just play that whole phrase. So we're starting at the last part of measure 20. So we start with that little chromatic movement. So I'm on the 2nd fret of the D string with my 2nd finger. To the 1st fret, to the open string, to the C add 9, that G bass, move it back, and now we have to make that jump up to this chord. And then back to that again. So that part, it's really weird, especially when you play this part by yourself. If you're playing it slower, that chromatic part just sounds really, really weird. When it's up to tempo, it comes by really quick, so you don't notice it as much. But it does sound kind of weird. All right, so back to a C add 9, bass note to G, move it back to the C, A minor, A suspended 2, A minor. All right, so that is actually the end of where they're arpeggiating, and then it goes into some strumming at that point. So it goes to a G, and, well, it's actually when you're coming out of this is like 1 and 2 and 3, 4. We rest on beat 3. And we go to a G. So that's 4, and then on measure 29, 1, 2, and 3. We rest on 3. So 4, 1, 2, and 3, and then we're going to go to a D suspended 2. So D suspended 2 is just your D chord with the high E string open. So when we're switching from this voicing of G to that, our third finger is already here on the 3rd fret of the B string. So we're coming from that G. We hit that on 4, 4, 1, and 2, and 3. So the D suspended 2, 4, 1, and to switch to G, 2, and switch to A minor. 3, 4, so that's a half note, and then it's tied to the first beat of the next measure. So that's like 3, 4, 1, 2, and then on 3, open A string, 3, the end of 3 is the 2nd fret, the downbeat of 4 is the 3rd. So same pickup notes from before. To D, so we're hitting that 3 and 4 and then that's tied to the first 2 beats of the next measure. 3 and 4 and 1, 2, and then the downbeat of 3, open D string. 3, the and of 2 is the 3rd fret of the A string. The downbeat of 4 is the 2nd fret, so with the pickup notes, and then we end on A minor. So you got the and that is basically like the whole intro section of the song. It's pretty long, and then when it goes into the vocals, it's just a lot of these same riffs just repeated. Alright, so there you have it, Fall of the Peacemakers by Molly Hatchet. So if you like this lesson, be sure to give me a thumbs up and leave a comment down below if you have any questions about this or other guitar-related topics. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of the content that we upload throughout the week. Well, that is all I have for you today. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.